Good morning. So today's story is going to be the story of Moses. And the icon for this story is the burning bush, which you'll learn about soon.
Many years after Joseph told Pharaoh the meaning of his dream of the 7 fat cows being eaten by the 7 skinny cows, a new Pharaoh ruled, and he did not remember what Joseph had done for Egypt. The people of God became slaves. They were trapped and could not go home.
Now there were so many of the people of God in Egypt that Pharaoh was afraid that they'd take his kingdom away from him. And so he said that all of the baby boys had to be killed. Now, one mother made a basket of bulrushes woven together, and she put the basket in the reeds. She put the baby in the basket and put the basket in the reeds by the bank of the Nile. And the daughter of Pharaoh found the basket, and she named the baby Moses, which means to draw out, because she'd drawn him out of the reeds. And she raised Moses as her child in the palace. Now, when Moses was a young man, he saw an Egyptian beating one of the people of God, and he became very angry and killed them. And then he ran away into the desert. And Moses stayed with the family of Jethro. He married Zipporah, one of Jethro's daughters, and he became a shepherd. And he lived in the desert for 40 years.
One day, when Moses was taking care of Jethro's sheep, he took them to the mountain of God, Mount Horeb, which is also called Sinai.
Suddenly, Moses saw a bush that was burning, but did not burn up. Now God spoke to Moses from the bush, and God told Moses that the cries of the people of God had been heard, and that God was sending Moses to speak to Pharaoh to set God's people free. Moses said, "But who am I to do such a thing?" And God said, "I will be with you." So Moses asked, "What's your name?" "My name is I am who I am." "Can't you send someone else?" "Aaron, your brother, will go with you. He will speak for you." And so Moses went back to Egypt to tell the Pharaoh to let his people go. And Moses went many times to Pharaoh and to tell him to let God's people go. And each time, Pharaoh said no.
Terrible things happened in the land of Egypt. There were 10 plagues sent by God. After the first 9 plagues, Moses went back to Pharaoh to tell him to let God's people go. Pharaoh said, "No." The 10th plague was terrible. The firstborn child of every family in Egypt was to die. The people of God were instructed to mark their doors with the blood of a lamb, and their homes were passed over, which is the name of the Jewish holiday, Passover.
When Moses went back to Pharaoh this time, Pharaoh said yes. So God helped Moses lead the people through the water and into freedom. And Moses led people through the desert for 40 years. And the people of God grew tired and hungry and discouraged, and they grumbled to Moses. But God showed them that God was still with them in the desert by giving them quail and manna to eat in the desert. And when people grew thirsty from traveling in the desert, they complained to Moses. And Moses talked with God. And God told Moses to strike a rock with his staff, and water flowed from the rock so that the people could drink. Now something happened to make God angry. Moses didn't keep the faith with God in the midst of the people. So God told Moses that he would see but never enter the promised land. The people were free, but they didn't know the best way to go. Now, with God's help, Moses led the people to Mount Sinai, where God had spoken to him from the burning bush. And Moses went up the mountain to talk with God, and the people waited and waited and waited. Moses was gone a long time. And the people began to think that Moses was never coming back. So they asked Aaron to make them a new god to lead them. So Aaron took all of the gold from all of the women, and he shaped the melted gold into a calf. And he gave the calf to the people and said, "Here is your God." And the people built an altar and worshiped the golden calf. Now, when Moses came down from the mountain, his face was shining, and he carried with him the 10 best ways. But he found the people worshiping the golden calf. So he broke the stone tablets on which the 10 best ways were written, and he took the golden calf and threw it into the fire. Now the people were sorry. So God gave Moses the 10 best ways again, and Moses gave them to the people. And God told Moses to have the people make a box called an ark to hold the 10 best ways. And the ark was covered with gold. And God told Moses how to make a tent called a tabernacle for the ark, so that when the people stopped, they would have a place for God wherever they went. And when they took this into the wilderness, Moses went into the tabernacle, and God filled the tent. And when Moses came out, his face was shining. After 40 years, they came to another mountain, Mount Nebo. And Moses looked out over the promised land from the mountaintop, and God said, "I will give this land to the people of God, but you will not cross over." Moses died there, full of years, and no one knows to this day where he is buried. Now, I wonder what part of this story you liked the best. I wonder which part is the most important. I wonder which part is especially for you. I wonder, is there any part we could leave out and still have all the story that we need? So let's put this away. The ark, the 10 best ways, the golden calf. Mount Sinai goes on the shelf with the 10 best ways. The rock and the staff. The quail and the manna. The Red Sea that was parted. The burning bush that God spoke to Moses out of. And baby Moses in his basket in the reeds of the Nile, where his mother had put him with love and grief and hope. I hope you enjoyed our story today. See you soon.
Hi everyone. It's time for a story. This week I'm going to read a Sesame Street book. And the lessons of Sesame Street are good for your whole life. They're a wonderful reminder even for me now, the lessons I can get out of reading a Sesame Street book. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you take some time to think about what the ideas, what the lessons are in here. It is called Bert and the Broken Teapot. And I know we've all broken something or caused some problem before, so let's see what happens here. Get my reading glasses on. It is by Tish Summers and illustrated by Diane Dawson Hearn. And all the Sesame Street characters. Bert woke up early. He was too excited to go back to sleep. Today, I'm going to work at Hooper's store, he told his pet pigeon, Bernice. David has to go to the library, so he said I could help out. Bert whispered so he wouldn't wake up Ernie. That was very considerate. When Bert arrived at the store, David said, "Good morning, you're right on time. Here's an apron for you to wear." Bert slipped the apron over his head. It fit perfectly. "Neato," he said. David showed Bert around the store. He showed him the refrigerator and the soda fountain and the cookie jar. Then he took Bert behind the counter and showed him the teapot on the shelf. "Be careful with the teapot," said David. "It's very special because Mr. Hooper gave it to me." "Don't worry, David. I'll be as careful with your teapot as I am with my paper clip collection." "I'll be back in 2 hours," David said as he left. "Take good care of the store." "Don't worry about a thing," Bert answered. He set places at the counter while he waited for his first customer. Soon the door opened and the first customer came in. "Hiya, Bert," Ernie said. "How's it going?" Bert smoothed his apron. "Fine, Ernie," he said. The door opened again and 3 more customers came in. "Hi, Bert. May I have a glass of milk?" Prairie Dawn asked. "I'd like some Brussels sprouts," said Harry. "Cookie, please," said Cookie Monster. "Coming right up," said Bert. He knew that was what David said when he helped his customers. Maria opened the door. "Hi, Bert," she said. She was surprised to see him. "Where's David?" "He's at the library," Bert told her, "and I'm minding the store." "David always makes me a cup of tea," said Maria. "Could you do that?" "You bet," Maria said Bert. A cup of tea in the teapot. "Oh, Bert," said Prairie Dawn, "may I have some more milk, please?" "Coming right up," said Bert. Bert was trying to serve his customers as fast as David did. He reached for the milk. "Watch out for the teapot," cried Maria, but it was too late. Bert knocked the teapot off the counter. Crash! It fell to the floor. "Oh, dear." "Oh, no," cried Bert. "I've broken David's teapot." Everyone stared at the pieces on the floor. Oh, boy. "Maybe Louise could fix it," said Prairie Dawn. "Yeah," said Harry. "I break lots of things, and Louise always fixes them." "Go ahead, Bert," said Maria. "I'll watch the store while you go to the fix-it shop." Ernie and Bert carefully picked up the pieces and put them in a paper bag. Bert hurried to the fix-it shop. When he got there, Louise was fixing a radio. "Hi, Bert," Louise said. "What can I do for you?" "I was working at Hooper's store and I broke David's teapot," Bert told him. He handed Louise the bag full of broken pieces. "Can you fix it for me?" Louise put the broken pieces on the counter and looked at them. "I'm sorry, Bert," he said. "The pieces are too small to glue back together." "Are you sure?" asked Bert. Louise nodded his head. "Well, thanks anyway, Louise," Bert said. He left the fix-it shop. He felt very sad. I like the way he said thanks anyway. At least he was nice. Bert wandered down Sesame Street, wondering what to do. "Hey, you with the pointy head," Oscar called as Bert passed the trash can. "You look sad and miserable." "That's really great. What happened?" Bert held out the paper bag full of broken pieces. "This was David's special teapot," he said, "and I broke it." Oscar peered into the bag. "Oh, it's beautiful," he said. "You want to trade?" Oscar disappeared into his trash can and slammed the lid shut. A minute later, he popped up holding his favorite Grouch teapot. It was cracked and broken. "It's great for making hot mud and marshmallows," Oscar said. Bert sighed. "Thanks anyway, Oscar, but I don't think that would take the place of the teapot Mr. Hooper gave David." "What will I tell David?" Bert wondered as he walked past 123 Sesame Street. "Hi, Bert," Big Bird called from his nest. "Why are you so sad?" "I was minding the store for David and I broke his special teapot," Bert told him. "Oh," Big Bird thought for a minute. "Hey," he said, "I have something that keeps water hot. Maybe you could give it to David in place of his teapot." Big Bird reached into his nest and pulled out a bright red hot water bottle. Bert shook his head sadly. I don't think so, Big Bird, but thanks anyway. Bert walked slowly back to Hooper's store. He slipped off the apron. He folded it and sat down to wait for David. Now David will never let me work in the store again, he thought, and maybe he won't even be my friend anymore. Hi, Bert, I'm back, David said. How's it going? Bert took a deep breath. I broke your teapot, David. I was trying to serve the customers as fast as you do, and I knocked it off the counter. And he showed David all the broken pieces. I'm sorry, said Bert, trying not to cry. David sat down on the stool next to Bert. I think I know how you feel, said David. I used to help Mr. Hooper in the store when I was a little boy. And one day, I dropped his favorite cookie jar and broke it. And you know what he said to me? What? Asked Bert. Mr. Hooper said, my friend David is more important to me than any cookie jar. David smiled. You know what, Bert? What? Asked Bert. My friend Bert is more important to me than any teapot. I'll buy you a new teapot, said Bert bravely. I'll save my money and maybe I can sell my paper clip collection. I have a better idea, said David. What's that? Asked Bert. You can help me in the store again next Saturday. Do you mean it, David? Groovy, and I'll try not to break anything ever again. I promise I will be very careful. I know you will, said David. I really like the end of that book. And now let's close this week with a prayer. I hope you have a great week. I'll see you soon. Lord Jesus, make me as kind to others as I would want to be to you. Make me as generous to others as I would want to be to you. May I take time to help them as I would want to take time to help you. May I take trouble to help them as I would take trouble to help you. May I look into the faces of those I meet and see your face. Amen.